Hello, Flosstube friends. I'm Nancy Joy Trower. I'm the stitcher with the laughing face, and this is Flosstube number 35. Finally, I am so sorry that it's been over a month since my last Flosstube. March was pretty much all lion, not a whole lot of lamb. So it was just a hard month to get stuff stitched, to have anything to show you, and then to actually have the time to sit down and make the video. So I appreciate your patience. Those of you who have been watching and liking and subscribing and commenting, you mean so much to me because there's so many Flosstubers out there, and the fact that you'll come and hang out with me and see what I've been up to really, really means a lot. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for being patient. And here we are. So my name comes from this song, Nancy with a Laughing Face. It was my dad's favorite song. My mom's middle name was Nancy, so I always thought that was kind of a funny coincidence for them. And when it came time to name my Flosstube, Nancy with a Laughing Face is kind of an apt description. And the fact that my middle name is Joy, my parents did a really good job naming me. Go Mom and Dad. But everything had Stitcher in the name, all the other Flosstubes, because otherwise how would the algorithm know you're a Stitcher? So I changed Nancy to Stitcher. So it's kind of a long name, but that's where my name came from. And my channel is all about cross stitching. There's some quilting thrown in, a little bit of a life update at the beginning here. And then I am a librarian. So a couple months ago, I started talking about some of the books I was reading while I was on Christmas vacation, and people liked that. So I'm going to stick with that. So you're probably going to need to refill your drink when it gets to the part about everything I've been reading for the past month and a half. We had a big challenge at school, and I read a lot, so I have a lot to share when we get there. So if you're not a reader, it's going to be at the very end, after all the stitching and the giveaways. Last video, I did some giveaways. It was my 2-year Flosstube anniversary, and I broke 700 subscribers, which I appreciate every single one of you. I know, people out there have thousands and thousands of them, but you guys all mean quite a lot to me. So I'm glad you're here, and I do have some giveaways to celebrate that. So, so stick around for the giveaway to find out if you won. And then if you're a reader, I got quite an eclectic. That's the word I was looking for. I've got quite an eclectic selection of books for you today. So, so March was a bit crazy, just busy. Nothing bad happened really. It was just a lot kind of piled on top of each other. So my last video I shot the last week of February, and I'm fixing the curly hair there. One of my commenters was like, I get your pain. I feel your pain. I got curly hair too. So my last video was the last week of February. Right before that, my oldest son, Sam, had an icy patch and hit a guardrail. He is totally fine, 100%. He's totally good. The car is not. Neither was the guardrail. The guardrail looked like a curly fry. The way that it curled back on itself was really kind of odd, just kind of amazing to see. But it was one of those situations where he thought he got it fixed, and then something else would go wrong, and then something else would go wrong, and just one thing on top of another. And then somebody missed that the radiator was leaking, and it overheated and blew the gasket. So dead car, right? So in November, Sam had gone to visit his dad in California, and his dad made him an offer to move to California and spend some time with him, because the salaries in California are crazy high. The cost of living in California is crazy high. So Sam could go and work, find a job there and work for a while and kind of make a nest egg, especially if he was living with his dad, doesn't have to pay rent or anything like that. And he kind of hemmed and hawed about it. He really likes his job here, that he was in the car dealership, but it was a struggle to make ends meet. It was on commission, so it was kind of tough. So when his car basically blew up, everybody said, now might be the time. Now might be the time to go live with your dad. So that's what he did. And so from the end of February, he put in his 2 weeks, as a good human does. But it meant that Phil and I had to do a lot of driving because his car was kaput. So we did a lot of driving in March, end of February, March. I took 2 days off to help with the final sorting of what was going to Goodwill, what was getting stored, what was he taking with him, cleaning the apartment up. I will never need to buy pens for the library because I have enough pens from his dealership to last us quite a while. It was pretty funny. They were everywhere. I think he just emptied his pockets when he came home. And so he left on March 14th. And I guess it's a good thing the way that you drop your kid off at the airport, and if you just pull up for them to hop out, you can't really have big long goodbyes. I mean, it's all good and he's settling in, he's doing well. But it's still kind of hard to send your baby to the other side of the country. And I guess I must have been stressed out. There was one day, I'm usually up I have about an hour and a half from when I wake up to when I leave in the morning. And most of the time I'm playing some silly game on my phone, I'm doing Wordle, whatever. And one morning I sat down and started stitching. My husband looks over at me and he's like, "Are you okay? Because you're stitching at 7 in the morning." I'm like, "I'm good. I'm just stabbing stuff. It's all good." So thankfully for our therapeutic hobby. So that was the big thing, was helping him get ready to go and doing all the driving. He's supposed to only be there for a year and he's supposed to come back. So he better, because I have his Billy, that's Billy Buffalo behind me, little statue from the Bills. And next to that is the little saber-tooth tiger dude. So I have them ransom. He has to come home in order to get them. I also have his Keurig. It's at school. So now I can have way too much coffee at the library. And he can have it back when he comes home. So he better. On top of all of that, I had a winter reading challenge going on at school where I basically bribe the kids to read every year. And it works pretty well. We read over 110,000 minutes as a school in 5 weeks. My top 2 readers read over 10,000 minutes each, which is crazy. But part of the challenge is, can you read more than Mrs. Trower? So I read a lot as it is. Reading is like breathing. But I had to step it up because they were 10,000 minutes. I had like 3,500 at the end of it. So I was doing a lot of reading, and I actually listened to quite a few audiobooks in the car while I was going back and forth to do the driving for Sam. Listened to an audiobook while I was quilting. So a lot of reading also didn't allow me to stitch as much as I normally do. And it's not like it's a bad thing that you have a month where you're not stitching as much. It's just, that was one of the things that was very busy in March. I had a sinus infection thingy going on because of all the weather changes here. You know, we had a day where it was 75 and we're all outside playing at recess and club time. And then it snowed again. Today was only 45, even though it's beautifully sunny, as you can tell from my lovely ambient light here. But cold, still windy. The other day was like really one of those damp days that you can just feel it in your bones. So it'd be nice if it was actually be spring for my spring break. That would be great. The other big thing was working on my baby elephant quilt for my niece. So I put Sam on the airplane on the 14th, and then, which was a Friday. And then the next Saturday was my niece's baby shower. She's having her first baby in May. It's a little girl, and we are all super excited. And her baby shower was, I guess it's the 22nd, 23rd, whatever Saturday that was. So I spent that whole week quilting. And it came together really nicely. So I'm going to put a big picture of it right here. So this is my baby elephant quilt. And I'm super happy with how it turned out. The blocks are just a 6-inch square, 6.5 when you cut it for the seam allowance, of course. And then a 3-inch strip at the bottom. And then a 3-inch strip along the side. I didn't want to do just squares. Because I can't do squares just randomly. I can't. I don't know what it is, OTC or something, but it has to have some sort of pattern to it. And I felt like I'd done a couple baby quilts that were just squares, like in kind of a diagonal, like around the world, if you know that pattern, where it would be like a quarter of it, where you just have the diagonal and you have all the squares going up. So I wanted to do something a little bit more for Elizabeth's baby, but I also was not mindful of my time. I didn't want to go too crazy. I don't think baby quilts need to have incredibly complicated patterns to them, because you want something that's going to be sturdy as well. So, so this is what I came up with, and just looking at Pinterest, found a couple things, kind of adapted them. So this was the pattern. The baby elephant. I did 5 blocks with that as the big square, one for each corner, one in the middle, kind of like a dice pattern. There were 25 blocks total. And then the other elephant fabric kind of looks like the elephant's next to a stream. It's got blue in it. And I did 4 of those like around the middle. And then the rest of the blocks were just using the fabrics from what I picked out specifically for this, like the grays, the cute little gray. It almost looks like an elephant ear on that one gray that with like half circles on it. And then the star and moon, there's a polka dot one, and a couple things that I found in my stash that worked as well. So it was delightful to work on it, and it went together very well. I used Minky for the back, which I had it in my stash. I'd been afraid to use it because it's so thick. But honestly, it quilted up really nicely. I don't think it was Gutermann. I had a different thread, and I'm not sure what kind it is because, of course, it fell off the labels. But it was a little thicker weight to it. And I'm going to see if I can take the spool and try to match it. I think maybe it was Coats. I don't know. I'll have to take it to the store and see if I can match it to the brand because I liked it. It did not have any tension problems like I was having with the Halloween quilt that was giving me conniptions. So it turned out beautifully. I was very happy with it. And Elizabeth liked it. My sister-in-law liked it. So that was awesome. And then this past week was the end of the marking period. So I was like, can we catch a break at some point here? So I wanted to do the video on the weekend, but it always takes longer to grade stuff than you think it's going to. So here we are. It's April 1st. It's been a month and at least a week since my last video, but here we are. And hopefully I can hang with you more often between now and next time, hopefully in 2 weeks, because I have this week and next week, and then I am on spring break. Praise Jesus. Can I get a name? Thank goodness. It's not like it's a bad school year. It's been going very well. It's just, it's been a long time since Christmas vacation. Easter's late this year, so we don't have the break in February. We had 1 day. Probably should have had 2 because it was so stinking cold, but we didn't. We only had 1. But I'm very much looking forward to the 2 weeks at Easter vacation. So we get the whole week before and the whole week after. We come back, there's 3 days, and then it's May already. And then I will be taking a good portion of the first full week of May. I'm taking off to go to Philadelphia for Max's graduation from Temple. So that's pretty exciting too. So that's what's been going on here. Very, very lion-like, as I said. But I did get some stitching done. I did get some quilting done, obviously. I'm still actually pulling apart the Halloween quilt. I'm hoping that sometime this week or this weekend I'll be able to actually start quilting that again because I do need to get that done first. But Max wants a quilt for graduation, so that I'm looking behind you. It's over on my shelf behind you. We've already picked out all the fabrics. I'm not sure that I washed them. I think I have to do that. But he's going to get a purple, black, gray with some white, a log cabin, because that's what he picked out. So I got to get that going over spring break too. But I'm hoping to, I'm just going to go straight up and down from the top to the bottom on the Halloween quilt. I think the constant turning to try to do stitch in the ditch around these big squares that I had is part of the reason why the tension was so bad. So cross your fingers. There won't be any tension problems, and I can just whip that one out and get it done so we can get that off. All right, so let's get to stitchy stuff. So if you've been watching my videos, and thank you again if you've been watching my videos, I started the Little Something Sal in January, and that is something I have to apologize. Also, I have totally neglected the Facebook group. So thank you to Kay and Laura for keeping it going because they have been posting still, and so I'm going to get back on that. It's one of those things that like you don't have time to do something, and then getting back into it is like, oh yeah, I got to do it. And then you really got to sit down and do it. But the Sal is really fun. So check out Facebook, check out the Sal. There's a Facebook group there. You have to answer a couple questions. Make sure you're really a stitcher, of course. But last year in 2024, I tried to do the 24 in 24 Sal where people were starting 2 new things every month. And I did pretty well for a couple of months. And then there were too many new things that I wanted to start. I'd already set up all these projects and bags. I didn't get to very many of them. And I didn't leave myself enough time to get a lot of them finished. So they became WIPs. And then Halloween came around and I started a whole bunch of stuff at Halloween. And those are all WIPs. So around that time, I was like, I'm never going to get all these things done if I'm just constantly stitching seasonally. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I've had a lot of fun stitching seasonally, but I also wanted to finish a lot of these WIPs. I had 29 of them at the beginning of the year, and that's a lot to me. And I wanted, you know, I started all of them because I wanted to finish them and put them out. So I wanted to come up with a way to motivate myself to work on things not in season. So that old rhyme from weddings popped into my head. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. So I did something old the first week of the month, something new the second week, something festive the third week, and something boo the fourth week, as a way to, you know, kind of think outside the box and not always just start the next cool thing that I see on Etsy or Flosstube from all you enablers out there. And it's been working really well. It's been very fun. So my last video was the last week of February, and so that was boo, something boo. Sorry. I was all set to talk in my update, and then here's all my stuff right here. So hold on, I'm going to do a little shifting so I can get everything and I'm not constantly turning sideways. And hopefully it doesn't all fall off my table, because that happens too. You know how that happens. All right, so fourth week is something boo, and I was working on Primrose Cottage, the Halloween Quaker. So I've already done the alphabet and Salem Sisters Stitchery, which was 3 of the patterns. I think they still had the Halloween quilt. I didn't get that one. But I did 3 of the 4 that came out at Halloween time. And they also had, I'm hoping you can't, I can see the reflection in my phone of my lights. I'm hoping you can't. So I did 3 of the 4. And I was like, oh yeah, I can get that finished. And then, you know, life happens. So here's my Halloween Quaker so far. This is done on 28 count raw linen from Zweigart. It just happened to be a piece I found like in a bag from years ago. Like it was in a paper pamphlet still. Like that's how old it was. But I love it. I would love to get more. I think it looks perfect for this. It really adds to an awesome Halloween prim look to it. Kind of vintagey prim. I only really had like some of the stuff down here done. So all of this is done. I just have like the top portion to do. If you look at that, I just have the top third maybe. Problem is that I cannot find the sassy brass, which is the yellow. I think it fell out of the bag when I was showing you guys last time, and I have no idea where it wound up. It's in somewhere behind you in one of those bags that's all over the place. No idea. But I figured I would just work on everything else, and then when I find the sassy brass, it'll be easy to fill it in. It's just a couple stars and a little moon. It's not a lot. And it's also a Halloween piece. If I don't find it until later in the summer, not a big deal. And if I need to go buy a new piece of sassy brass, so be it. But that was my something boo in the end of February. And I think I'll be able to finish that probably the end of April. I didn't work on it this past week because I had too many spring things that I didn't feel like I had enough time on them in March, and I wanted to finish them, like work a little bit more. So the beginning of March, new month, I was working on my something old, which the only old thing I had that was St. Patrick's Day is this very cute Dublin in. This is from Kiralyn Needlearts, and if you haven't checked her out on Etsy, go look. She has a whole bunch of cute little houses like this. She has some great Easter stuff. She has some really nice Christmas stuff. So if you're doing a Jesus tree, I would definitely check her out. But one of the things I loved about this little inn was the sheep. He's done in French knots. So I picked it up. I'm doing this on 28 count linen. I tried to tea dye it myself, which is why it has like big brown spots, because I didn't listen to Chelsea. You should always listen to Chelsea when she said, don't let it be up too high or it will kind of scorch. She was right. So, but I tried my hand at tea dyeing because I wanted the modeling. I got maybe a little more modeling than I bargained for, but it's still pretty cool. So I've got, the house is pretty much done. And then I did the little border at the bottom, and I did the sheep. Check him out. So cute. Now, the only part that I found kind of difficult, I have been stitching for 40 years, so French knots are not a big deal. I probably learned how to do a French knot before I learned how to do a cross stitch, because my mom did crewel work, and she taught me how to do a whole bunch of stitches. The thing that was tricky was placement, because if you think about the linen, like if you're on Aida, you've got a square, right? So when you're working on linen, you've got 4 threads to make your square that you're stitching over. And it was really hard to know where to place the French knots because they would be in the middle of the square. So I just took a single strand of floss and kind of did a quick outline with some long straight stitches to outline the sheep. You can't see any of that, but it really helped me get the placement. So that came out pretty cute. So all I have left to do on this one, which will happen next year, is I'll finish the Dublin and then the little garland at the top, which includes some beads. And then that'll be super cute. So, but I think, I don't know. I don't know if I got frustrated with it or just like, I'm over the St. Patrick's for now. I did work on, so that was my old, but I also had a something new. And sometimes I think you're just like, okay, I just want to start something new. Just give me the new stuff. So that was my something new, was Primrose Cottage's freebie, their Friday freebie, which was the Happy St. Patrick's Day. And I thought it was super cute. I didn't have anything that I stitched that said Happy St. Patrick's Day, and I thought that would be really fun. Now, they used cottage garden threads, and which are super variegated, because if you look at it, it looks like there's a lot of green in that shamrock. It's only one color. It's only hearth or prike. It's prike, which I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. So I'm trying to be super good right now. I know last video I showed you all the market stuff I wanted. I had my top 5. It's like, must have these market things. They're so great. And then we did our taxes, and we owed money because my school didn't take out very much last year. So I'm trying to be good. And it's like, I'm not certainly going to go buy all that floss. It's cool, but I'm going to use what I have. So I looked in my stash, because why have it sit in a drawer when it could be used, right? That's my thinking. So this is how mine turned out. And I used a whole bunch of cool flosses that I already had. So the St. Patrick's Day, and then this shamrock in the pot and the stuff on the hat, that is all pickle from Color and Cotton. I got in a Color and Cotton pack, floss pack, I think it was like 2 years ago now, when I did a Stitcher's Garden from Tiny Modernist, which I absolutely love. It's right up there. But there was a lot left over, and I was like, this floss is awesome. I'm going to use it on everything I can possibly find, because I didn't want to waste it. It was just so wonderful. Love the variegation, and it was so nice to work with. So you can see there's quite a bit of variegation in the St. Patrick's Day. That is just pickle. And then here and here, because it showed up against the black better. The black is also Color and Cotton. It's Chimney Sweep. And then the yellow is Jingle Bell, which I actually considered, if I can't find the Sassy Brass, I may pull out the yellow on there and do it in the Jingle Bell, which may actually show up better against that kind of darker neutral. I don't know. Would I pull it out of all 3? No. Will I pull it out of just that Quaker? Maybe. We'll see if the Sassy Brass doesn't turn up. But I love how that worked, and there's a lot of nice variegation in that. The Happy, and then these darker shamrocks down here are Steamed Broccoli. And then this is Fields of Green, which is one of their newer colors. I think it came out 2 markets ago. 2 markets ago. And I did it on the diagonal like they did in the model. And it looks really cool. And I think that'll be kind of a fun thing to play with, is when you have a variegated floss, of not just doing it in straight rows across, but doing it on a diagonal, or you can even do it in a circle. You know, if you're doing like a cup of coffee, why not do it in a circle so it's kind of variegated? But I thought that turned out really cute. I'm going to turn it into a pillow and have it out for next year. So that was my something new. And that is on Vintage Country Mocha, a 28 count vintage Country Mocha, which I think is like one of the most perfect fabrics because everything looks good on it. All right, so next, oh, I'm going to show this. This wasn't really part of the something Sal, but I have been working on Welcome Home Winter. I'm going to do all 4 from Stitching with the Housewives. You know I love them, all their stuff. I really want to do Beatrice. Love her. She's so stinking cute. That big giant bee, or the bunny with the bees that just came out. Love it. And if you haven't watched their spring tour, there were some chalkboards that she had up that I'm like, oh, if she's going to make those into chalkboards next year, that would be amazing. But I really like this Welcome Home series. It's very, very pretty. And I have a great piece to finish it. I have the fall one done. And then I did do a little bit more on the winter. It just sits in my stitching nest, as my husband calls it, like my little nesting spot. So I'm probably maybe a little more than halfway done. And sometimes I would just pick up like a white skein and just, you know, or white strands and just do white strand because there's a lot of white on this one. I am doing it with 3865 instead of the bamboo because there's a lot of white and the bamboo is expensive and I don't see a variegation. Not on that one. Maybe some other whites you might see it more, but I don't feel that it shows up. This is really tealy instead of Tropical Paradise because I like that color better. It just is a little bit more pop to it. And I think I'm using maple sugar for the brown because I didn't have enough wagon wheel on hand. And it was pretty close. And I had maple sugar in my drawer that just sitting there languishing away. So I was like, come be part of a stitching. So now what I'm probably going to do, since it is April and we like to mountain bike, we like to disc golf. So I like to have a car stitch, something that I can take with us because one of the places we like to mountain bike is in Rochester. So it's an hour and a half. There's also some disc golfing that we do that's a little further away. So 45 minutes, an hour in the car sometimes. So I like to have something I can throw in the car and stitch to and from when we're off gallivanting around. And I like something on Ada because I can actually see that in the car. It's much harder for me to see linen in the car because we're moving. So that's going to become a car stitch so that hopefully it will be done before next fall or before next fall. And then hopefully I'll have some other car stitches I'll be working on. We just booked our hotel for Tennessee. We're going to go to Kentucky first. We're going to go to the Mammoth Caves, and then we're going to go to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and a whole bunch of stuff around Gatlinburg. Very excited, but that's going to be a lot of time in the car. A lot of stitching for me. And oh my gosh, the house that we rented, beautiful. Our oldest son, Matthew, and his wife are coming with us. So it had plenty of room for everybody to have privacy. Everybody's got their own rooms. Nice big kitchen, beautiful porch to sit out and read or stitch. Cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. And we're going right at the beginning of July. So it'll be pretty close to getting out of school. So that'll be a great way for me to start off my summer just chilling. Cannot wait. All right. So the next week is festive. And for the welcome home, I just kind of picked it up whenever, like if I finished something else, didn't feel like working on something, it was just easy to pick up. So week 3 is something festive. And when I originally started the sale, my intention was for that to be a week to work on Christmas. Priscilla and Chelsea have all those amazing ornaments. There's always cute Christmas stuff. I've got a tiny modernist, the Yule goddess, like kitted up. I've got all these great things. Never going to finish them all in November and December. And I actually would like to stitch Thanksgiving stuff once in a while. So that was my intent. And so I was like, okay, March, I'm going to actually start something Christmas. So I picked up and started Go Tell It on the Mountain from Annie the Proper Stitcher. So here is the first one. And I have all 3. I don't know if I have, no, I don't have all 3 of them in here. I did go get all of the called for colors. And I'm doing it on 40 count milk and sugar. 40 count milk and sugar. So excuse my wayward thread there. So this is all I have started because I have to have my light on. 40 count, it's not hard, but I find that my eyes are going to get more tired from working on it, and I definitely need to have the bright light. Normally when I stitch, my husband and I sit next to each other. We have a little love seat in our living room, and then my stitchy nest with my 3-tier tray cart, and I have a tray table. They're right there. So all my stuff is right there. And whatever bag I'm working on is like tucked around in my journal because I keep a happy planner. So that's always there so I can write in that. So when I sit next to him, I'm not going to turn on an light and blind the poor guy. So I was like sitting on the other side. There's another sofa like right on the other side of our end table. So I think this is kind of a work on the weekend, not on a weeknight, because, you know, after dinner, we're going to sit together on the sofa and put on, right now we're binging NCIS. We're on season 3. There are 22 of them. It's a good show, though. I don't know how far we'll actually get, but we like the characters and the mystery. You know, I like that part. But I think this is going to be lovely. And the reason I'm doing it on 40 count. Oh, first of all, that green is not called for. That is mistletoe, because the green that's called for was pine needles, but I'm going to frame them in these frames. These are green velvet. I don't know if you can kind of see like the velvety sheen of that. So the pine needle wouldn't go, but the mistletoe I think will look really cool in it. These were from Michael's last Christmas. Maybe they'll have them again. I have 2 red ones that I used for Emily Calls Santa Claus, Merry and Jolly. And I did those in the red velvet. I did them this way with blue, and they turned out so cute. These I got on Black Friday. So I think I paid like $4 or $5 each because they were more than 50% off. And then I had my teacher discount. And I just thought these were so cool. Now we have in our dining room, we have a little corner, not a cabinet, but like a corner shelf that's got 3 levels on it on the top. And then there's 2 more underneath it. I usually store candles there because I have way too many candles. People give them to me too. It's not my fault. But the top, I usually put nativities out. And I thought to put one of these each, you know, put the Go Tell It on the Mountain on the top one, and then Over the Hills and Jesus Christ is Born, put one on each level with one of my nativity sets. I was like, how awesome is that going to be? Someone just posted on Annie's Facebook page. They finished all 3 and had them framed in one big frame with 3 openings, and that turned out beautifully. So I'm very happy that I started. Oh, the funny thing was I did start, my first stitches were with 2/2 because I'm so used to that. And I was like, oh wait, I'm only supposed to do 1/2 because this is 40 count and 1/2 is way better. Way better. But I am enjoying it. It's going to be beautiful. They're not huge. So hopefully I should be able to have all of them done this summer. Very, very pretty. And I also have a big piece of the 40 count left. So I can do, you know, a lovely sampler. I'm actually thinking about doing, because one of the market pieces I really wanted was the Plum Street Rejoice. It's beautiful. She's got so many pretty things, and that one I really loved. So I was like, oh, that would be really pretty on that 40 count. Of course, I will have to do that like over the summer when I can sit in the chair and not blind my husband by having the strong light going. All right, so that was my something new, but I didn't work on it a lot because, like I said, felt like I could only really work on it on the weekend. So to go with that, I decided to work on another Annie, the Proper Stitcher. And so this is my first Annie, the Proper Stitcher finish. I did Lucky You. I think all of her little sheep are so stinking cute. The new ones that just came out, adorable. So, and this was the first one that came out last year. Love St. Patrick's Day stuff. It's like St. Patrick's Day and sheep. It's kind of funny. So I am doing this on 32 count parchment. And unfortunately in this light, it's a little hard to see the sheep. He's also parchment, so it's kind of a light color. I think if I frame it the right way or mount it the right way to kind of catch that. I did toy with the idea of actually running a thread around it to outline it, which could be done too. Maybe not in a black, but maybe in, I don't know, even like the tan color, just to give it a little bit of oomph. But I think it turned out really nicely. Now I had to play a lot with colors because I don't have most of the called fors. I did have parchment and I did have the onyx, but then I used 4-leaf clover for the light green, steamed broccoli for the dark green. I think I used honeycomb for the yellow, and I did have the called for like her skin color and the tan basket over here. Her hair is actually fallen leaves. And one of the things that I found that's so cool with variegated floss is that you can fussy cut it. Like you would fussy cut on a quilt where you've got a pattern, you've got a picture, and you want the picture specifically like smack in the middle of the square. So you fussy cut, you cut specifically around it, so it becomes your square. So for the fallen leaves, I kind of fussy cut the floss because that variegation goes to a very pale orange, but I really liked it for her hair. So I used just the brighter portions, and it only took like one piece really because she doesn't have a lot of hair. But that turned out really cute. Not sure exactly how I'm going to finish it yet. Probably just a flat fold. I will do a little finishing marathon for myself over spring break and pull out, like, I'm looking behind you. I have buckets of finishing pieces. Things I pick up when they're on clearance. Things I pick up at the dollar store. Things that I've used for something else, but it's also seasonal. So it's like fair game to use for anything else. So I'll have her done over spring break, hopefully. All right, hold on. I dropped my list of everything I was talking about. All right, so that was something new, something festive was the 3rd week. Now the 4th week, as I mentioned, I didn't do something boo in March because I felt like in the mood for spring, wanted to work more on those. So I did finish up the Lucky You, and of course also I was working on the baby elephant quilt in that time frame, and I had to finish my grades. So, you know, the Halloween, and there's a couple people doing the sale who don't do the Halloween at all and just do something else. Like somebody is doing something blue for the 4th week because they have a really beautiful blue sampler they're working on. So whatever works for you. And I did actually start something new that was supposed to be my new for April, but I'm like, I'm going to start it now because I feel like it. So, so plans for April. Since it is now April 1st, my students kept trying to prank me today. One of them came in and she's like, I'm moving to Florida. And I'm like, nice try. And, you know, every 5 seconds it'd be like, April Fools. And I'm like, yeah, stop. Like, can we just finish talking about compound sentences, please? That was our grammar lesson for today. So for April, I need to finish working on that Halloween quilt. So I need to finish picking out, I think I have a square and a half left to pull, and I'm just going to quilt it from top to bottom every 3 inches or so, because I think the turning and trying to do stitch in the ditch on such a big piece, the quilt wound up being bigger than I originally intended. It is monstrously huge to try to do in just your little machine. So top to bottom, roll it up, get it through. I think it'll be much, much better. I am going to start working on Max's quilt. As I said, he wants for graduation. We have all these great colors. I'll show them to you next time because I probably won't start it before spring break. And I do intend on doing a video like at the beginning of spring break. Like, here's all the stuff I'm going to do. And then hopefully I will have here's everything I got done. And not just, I sat and read for 50 hours a day. And then I have a great idea for another little quilt because I wanted to make something for Abby, Max's girlfriend. So I got this great flannel when I was at Joann's that has books on the back of it. And I was like, oh, I got to get this for Abby. And I know I won't be able to finish like a big quilt for her, but I had a great idea. I'll show you next time. But I'm very excited about it. I think it'll be very cool. But I think I might, even though I'm trying to be good, I think I might go to Fat Quarter Shop and see, or email them and say, like, do you have a bundle with like book theme, whether it's Jane Austen or whatever, so the front can have a book theme too. The back is like kind of a bright orange and a bright like tealy green, tangerine orangey color. So I don't know about that, like a quilt to go with that color on the front, but something book related I think would be pretty cool. And then for stitching, my something old, so I will be working on this later on tonight. And another, again, this isn't one of the things I wanted to do when I started the sal. I had started a couple really big, beautiful pieces that are not seasonal. And I wasn't carving myself out time to work on them the way I was working on things last year. So my something old was to work on beautiful pieces like this so I can actually get them done and enjoy them on my wall. So this is the With Thy Hands from Teresa Kogut. Her stuff is awesome. I mean, artwork in the book too. I mean, just so cool that she gives us all this artwork. She is so much fun to listen to, and just so talented. Oh my gosh, so talented. So I'm doing this on, I'm pretty sure it's Heartland. I think it's 36. I think it's 36, because I think when I used it to do the cardinals, I was like, oh, that came out way smaller than I thought. So I do not have a huge start on it, but hopefully I'll be able to show you quite a bit more. I know Kate finished her. Hey, Kate. She finished hers and sent me a picture, and I think I shared it with you once. It was gorgeous. So this is Heartland. Beautiful modeling. Love the vintage look to it. All I have done is just a little bit of the house in the middle, and I started on, I think that's a deer and a dog. So I'm going to work on this today and for the rest of the first week of April. And then my something new for April is the next stitch from Stitching with the Housewives, Welcome Home Spring. And I just love those colors. Look how happy. Now I am substituting a few things for this one. I am doing it with the 3865 for the white, not the bamboo. I am using the really tealy again because I like it just a little bit brighter than the Tropical Paradise. And then I didn't have any Strawberry Parfait. I don't know why, because I found a bag that had all of the floss in it, and I was like, oh, look at me, I actually ordered it all already. But for some reason I forgot the Strawberry Parfait. I think when I was ordering it online, it was in the scroll down and I missed it. So I'm just using Priscilla's Peppermint for that pink, which is also pretty awesome. And then everything else is called for. And I am doing it on Black Ada, because, what did I just do? Sorry, I lost my paper. That was my background, because you're going to be able to see right through the Black Ada on this one. I did start this one the other night because I was like, oh, I feel springy. So I just got a little bit done already. But so I'll work on this on the second week, and then this might become a car stitch as well, so that I can get it done. Because I have a really awesome, oh, there's my paper. I have a really awesome finishing piece. Hold on, it's right here, actually. So this is the finishing piece that I'm using for the Welcome Homes. I have the magnets in the middle because I have a blue and white checkered. That's a really bad look for me to lean back that far. Sorry. So I have a blue and white checkered. There we go. To put on here. And I didn't glue it on because I figured like this, I have a Silent Night piece that Priscilla and Chelsea did that I think will look gorgeous on this. So I think I can use this quite a bit for the seasonal, but also for a Christmas piece. So it's going to have the blue and white background for each of them. And then I just kind of like when I did the fall one, I just popped, I had these really awesome fake flowers, and I just kind of put the flowers through the lattice, and then they were like leaning over the front part. So it worked out really well. So, so that's something new. And then for something festive, I picked something up today. I know I said I was trying to be good, and I am trying to be good. But last year I did a Holy Week stitch. I started it on Palm Sunday and I stitched all through Holy Week. I still have to frame it because I was looking for something very specific, which I don't think I'm going to find. So I'm going to go with plan B, and then hopefully someday, so it's going to be in a frame, so I could switch it into the frame that I find, like, that I've envisioned. I want something gold with like molding to it, so crown molding, so it's not just plain gold, but it has a little pattern in the frame. Finding it in a square is kind of hard, but it's out there somewhere. Maybe I'll find it thrifting or something like that. But I really liked having a Holy Week stitch. So I picked this one up today from Sweet Wing Studio, and I think this is brand new. And it's As He Said. So the whole verse says, He is not here, for He is risen, as He said. And so it's got a little sheep down there. Kind of hard to see in this light, sorry. Because now I'm losing my light because it's probably time for me to go put the oven on for meatballs, because we're having meatballs and spaghetti tonight. Got a cute little bunny here, and then the cross is just gorgeous. It's a dark brown, so it kind of looks like it's a chocolate cross with all these really pretty flowers on it. So that's going to be my Holy Week stitch, which is also something festive, so maybe I'll work on Go Tell It on the Mountain, because honestly, that fits into Holy Week too. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is Lord. So that'll be my festive. I also picked this up today because it was on sale. Super cute. This is from Happy Mood Point. Love is Here. And it was like hugely on sale, and I couldn't resist myself. I did pick up a couple other things that were on sale last week because they were like $1 each. I'm not sure which country the designer is coming from, but look at how cute that is. So for some reason the picture comes out enormous, but it's the caffeine molecule with flowers, and I have a coffee themed classroom. I became a teacher for the fame and for the Money and Fame. Thought that was pretty funny. And I actually have some teacher friends who want to learn. Books are always a good idea, and she's a whole big set of book stitchings that are awesome. And these are just like, 4-inch hoop things. We'll be friends forever. You know too much. Really cute on the black. And then there's one I can't show you because there's a swear word in it. But that's okay for my teacher friends. We swear a lot. And then this, not in front of the kids, obviously. The lunchroom. Yeah, we need a curse cup. This one says, touch my coffee and I'll slap you so hard, even Google won't be able to find you. That one might not go in my classroom where the kids can see it. It might just be in my kitchen. But I thought those were funny. And for $1, cross stitches, whatever you want to make of it, right? So you can have a really super fancy vintagey looking sampler, and you can have something funny. It all works. It all works. So those are my plans for April. And that is basically my haul as well. I did pick up a couple skeins of something DMC. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like a pearl cottony, but they're kind of cool. They're in the car though. I didn't bring them in. So not really, that was really all I bought because I'm trying to be good. All right. So that brings me to giveaways, and then we'll do the books. So I have, hold on one second. I have 3 giveaways from last time. And these were, one of them was a gift from a viewer, and 2 of them were gifts from, I think one was one was from a viewer, and 2 of them were from the 12 Days of Christmas gift that I received from the Stitching Corner, which is my LNS. So if you watched my Christmas, 12 Days of Christmas Vacation videos, I got to open a different envelope every day, which was really fun. So the first one is from that gift from Jess at the Stitching Corner. This is a Luminous Fiber Arts Friendship Series BFF Bunnies. And that goes to, the keyword for that was BFF, and that goes to Pat Hansen 4368. So Pat, send me an email so I make sure I have your address correct, And I will pop that in the mail to you. So that's from Luminous Fiber Arts. Very, very cute. Then the next one, this was the one that was a gift from a giver or a viewer. This is Bunny's Bakery from It's So Emma, which is Fat Quarter Shop's design series. And so the keyword for that was bunny. And so that goes to Stitches Costa Rica. And she said, don't worry, she's got a U.S. Mailing address. So Stitches Costa Rica, thanks for joining in. And that's a whole kit. Comes with the fabric and the DMC floss in the back. So very cool. Now, there's a little kerfuffle with my third prize. And or giveaway. I'm so sorry about this. So I had a cup of tea with me the last time I was doing a video, and when I went to grab my tea, it sloshed. So the third prize has been inadvertently tea dyed. And so I am sorry. You can see there is a bit of a tea mark on the cover. Now the cover is a hard cardstock, and then the pattern itself on the inside is just regular paper. The pattern is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's just the cover. So if the person who said trees in the comments was Southern Louisiana Stitcher Kim. So Kim, if you don't want a tea dyed pattern, I totally understand. I will email me. Give me your and Stitches Costa Rica, you got to email me too. It's in the show notes, my email. But Kim, if you would email me and let me know if you would rather not have this one because it got tea dyed, I will send you something else. If it's okay, I gotta have your email address or your address anyway. So I am so sorry about that. I felt so bad. But it really is just the cover. The rest of it is fine. So I'm sorry for that. But would be absolutely happy to send you something else if that's not okay. So. And I was like beating myself up. I was like, oh my gosh, I messed up my giveaway. Sorry. So congratulations to Pat and Stitches Costa Rica and Kim, Southern Louisiana Stitcher. And thank you to everybody who commented. That was awesome. And I'll do another giveaway, a spring break. We'll do some giveaways because I have some more stuff to show. All right. So I'm going to take a quick pause here because I need to set up all the books because we've reached the portion. All of my stitchy stuff is done. So if you stuck with me this long, thank you so much. I hope that you saw something that looked like fun to do or an idea or, just hearing like, hey, you don't have to do everything in the called for all the time. Use what you got. Hopefully that was helpful. But I am going to get ready to do all of the books. There's a lot of books. Because of the winter reading challenge and listening to audiobooks and trying to catch up to my students, I have quite a few. So refill your drink, get a different kind of beverage. Whatever you're going to do, I'll be pausing for just a second and then we'll get to the books. Okay, so I put the oven on, I put a pot of water on the stove, so I might have to pause again and go put the meatballs in and all that, but because it's almost time for dinner. And I was like, I am going to get this filmed come hell or high water because I didn't want to make you guys wait anymore. And I it's fun to sit and chat with your stitchy friends. So this is my book journal, and I have been keeping this since 2009. I started when I was a kid. You can't even see that in the pink. I'm sorry. But I started this in 2009. It's my second one. I had one. I think I started when I was finishing graduate school. And I keep track of every book that I read. So we are to here. And this is going to help me because I read a lot during the Stella Book Award or the Winter Reading Challenge. So the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's like 13 books we're going to talk about. So a lot of them are going to wind up being, and I have that out to help me keep track of what books we're talking about. A lot of them I'm just going to be able to show you the picture on Facebook because they're either a book from school that I can't keep at the house because the children want to read them, or it was a book on my Kindle. Because I do read a lot on my Kindle. I think a lot, it's kind of funny, a lot of people are, oh, only books. it's the instant gratification for me. It's like, oh, I finished a book. Click. Next one. Don't have to wait. It's the same thing with Etsy when you order a pattern. It's like, click, don't have to wait. I got it from, Poland, but I don't have to wait for it. It's here. So, all right. So the first one is called Feast and Famine. Go away. There was like an extra picture. So this is a young adult book that I picked up at Barnes & Noble for my school. The Last Great Heir. So the idea of this series, it's a fantasy book. I think there might be another one coming out at some point. There are two great houses who rule the land. One is called Feast. One is called Famine. The Feast have lavish parties. The Famine try to be more resourceful, but the Feast people look at it like they're stingy when really they're trying to make sure that everybody has enough. So very interesting to see how these two girls who are supposed to fight with magic, and whoever wins, that family gets to rule until the next battle comes up, when the next set of teenage girls come around when they're 13. One of those magical things. Let's fight to the death, or fight to the whatever. A lot of twists and turns, though, about what is actually going on. The two girls who are the main characters are very likable. And I look forward to the next one. So that's by Karina Finn, Feast and Famine, The Last Great Heir. Totally appropriate for middle school students. Absolutely, absolutely great. Really good for kids that age. All right, so the next one was one of the books that I got for Christmas from my hubby, because I gave him a giant list of books at Christmas time. And this was one of the ones that he got me. And this is like the fancy edition, and it is gorgeous. Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. And look, it's got one of those cool sides. I don't know what you call that. Somebody tell me what you call it. I'm a librarian. I should know this. But there's a special name for like when they do this on the sides. But check out the end papers. Like, I love that they're doing this a lot more lately. So it's like a trophy book. Just because it's so pretty to sit on your shelf. So here's the one at the end there. So another total fantasy. It's the main character is an orc, and she is a warrior for hire, and she gets very badly injured as they're chasing the evil sorceress who is going to destroy their way of life. So she gets left in this cute little town. What's the name of the town? Merk, I think. Yes, town is called Merk. So she gets left in Merk, and she starts making friends with a dwarf who owns a bakery shop and makes delightful things. And then there's another little creature. I can't remember the name of it. Oh my gosh. It's a creature I haven't come across before, but she owns a bookshop. And so the main character, who is, Viv, I read this like a month ago. So Viv kind of looks out for the bookshop owner and the bakery owner, make a couple other friends, a very unusual friend who is not entirely human. Not that the rest of them are. He's not entirely living. We'll put it better that way. So really good. And it happens to be the second book in the series. The first one is called Legends and Lattes. And I have seen this one with the original cover that is kind of a cartoon-like illustration on the front. I've seen that out and about in the stores. But when I read Bookshops and Bone Dust, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a Legends and Lattes with that beautiful addition to it. Oh, yes. So I happened to pick this one up at Target because I had used my Target Circle and I had a $15 coupon and this was 30% off. So technically it only cost me $5. Book math. Excuse me, but look how beautiful that is. So Bookshops and Bone Dust was a prequel, but I'm kind of glad I read it first because now I know Viv and I know how much more this adventure is going to mean to her. So this is on I haven't read this yet, but I will be reading this one over spring break. Absolutely, for sure. All right. So then I have a bunch of books that I read. These were audiobooks. It happened to come with a free audiobook with the Kindle. It was a Kindle Unlimited. And it had the audiobook with it. So the Moonwind series. This is from Norway. No, Sweden. Sorry, it's Sweden. The Night Raven. So the main character is Mika. She's an orphan living in the children's home, and someone drops a baby off in the middle of the night. She's the one who takes the baby in, and the kid who's bringing the baby said, "I saved," something like he saved her from the dark angel. So Mika gets caught up in a police investigation because something else happened that night, and the police officer heard that she had seen this person dropping the baby off and wanted to know more about it. And she's very observant, so she kind of becomes the police officer's assistant. The cool thing about it, because it was in Sweden, the names are amazing. So listening to it, I would have had no idea how to pronounce half the names in it. But it was very enjoyable, and I'm pretty sure it won an international children's literature award. So that was number 1, was The Night Raven. Number 2 was The Queen of Thieves. And in this one, there's a couple of the orphans in the children's home who get swept up and lured into a plot from the Queen of Thieves. She promises them a great life, and she's obviously just using them. But really good mystery, and the characters are really engaging. And then the third one, and I don't know whether there will be any more, but the third one is called The Lost Ones. And this is about those babies that the dark angel was after, that the one baby got saved from at the beginning. So Mika is a great little character. I really like her a lot. The stories are well written and highly enjoyable. They're on Kindle Unlimited. The audiobooks are included in Kindle Unlimited. Little darker maybe than American fiction. So maybe more middle school than like 9 or 10, but quite enjoyable. So that was the Moonwind series. And those are by Johan Runberg. So highly recommend those as well. Oops, I just messed up my pictures. All right, so those 3. I'm gonna pause because I gotta go put the meatballs in the oven. Okay, so the next book is the most recent in a series that I absolutely love. Oops, that was not helpful. So this series is by James Ponti, and it's called City Spies. So the premise is that there's a group of kids who are spies for MI6, and all of their names, because they've kind of given, like, they were all orphans, they were found on the street. One of the main characters, Brooklyn, was in foster care, and she's a hacker, and the people that she was in the care of were horrible people, so she hacked into the foster care system to show them that they were stealing money and just using it, and she was the one who wound up in trouble. But then the spy handler came and said, I have a job, I have a bunch of other kids just like you that you should come and help. So she's Brooklyn now, because that's where they found her. There's Paris and Rio and Sydney and Cairo. So a lot of good, not double crime, but there's a lot of good espionage going on. It's like, who can you really trust? What's really going on? So you do need to read them in order because there's some carryover, but each one is a new adventure in a different place. So this one is London Calling. There is a royal wedding that's going to happen. And of course, the kids are deployed so that they can try to stop somebody who wants to ruin it. Because who would suspect a bunch of kids of being spies? So I think this was book 6 in the series. He also has another series that he just started called the Sherlock Society, which is actually in my book award contest at my school. Because he very subtly gives a lot of cool information about the cities that the kids are in as they're like looking for places. So I really like the way he does that. All right, the next one is The Last of the Moon Girls by Barbara Davis. And I read another book by her, The Echo of Old Books, which was beautiful. And that one was another one I had a free audiobook on my Kindle. And it was cool because it was different characters reading it. So I highly recommend that one. That one was The Echo of Old Books. This one is The Last of the Moon Girls. So there's a little magic in this one. The main character is called home when her grandmother dies. She is going to be the last of the moon girls in the family. There's only ever girls, and they never get married, and they pass on their knowledge from one to the next. And unfortunately, the main character had left the hometown when there were 2 girls who went missing like 10 years ago or so, and her grandmother was the one accused of it. And so she goes home to sell the farm and kind of wrap things up. And of course, other things happen along the way, including the return of her mother that she hasn't seen in years. So beautifully written, lovely, really great story. I'm going to read more by Barbara Davis. She's great. All right. The next one, is The Fellowship of Bakers and Magic. This was another fantasy book. It's set in a world where there's a whole bunch of different creatures, orcs, elves, humans, all kinds, dwarves, all sorts of things. So the main character is human, but she's a really good baker. And so she, one of her family, like found family members, submits her baking to this big baking contest. And so she goes to the capital and she's in the contest. So it was fun. I probably won't read the other ones in the series because there's just so much to read, but it was enjoyable. And if you like baking, you like the found family, like finding the people who are your family, it was enjoyable. It was a good, fun read. All right. Next is another kids book. Yeah. This was called Wildsmith Into the Dark Forest. I do want to get the rest of the series for my kids. I think they'll really like it. So the little girl lives in the capital city. It's going to get invaded. So she and her mom head into the dark forest to go live with her grandfather for a while. And she finds dragon eggs. So enjoyable. I would read the rest of them as well. And then Jasmine Warga, she wrote one of my favorite books for the young adult section. It's called Other Words for Home, and it's in poetry. And it's about a girl who comes from Syria with her mom. Her mom is pregnant, and so they're seeking safety in the U.S. Absolutely beautifully written. It's got all these really cool Arabic proverbs in it that are just gorgeous. So when I saw that she had another book out, it's not in poetry, but I knew that we had to have it. So this is called A Strange Thing Happened in Cherry Hall. And it's when a painting goes missing, and the boy, his mom works in the museum, and he sees a girl in the hall, and it's the girl from the painting, like kind of like her ghost. So that was pretty cool. Neat twists and turns, some really cool stuff about art in it. The way she talks about art and the way art makes you feel, I thought was really, really delightful and really well done. All right, so those are all the books that were still from my winter reading challenge. Then I read a couple other things. Accidental Magic by Iris Beagle. What a name. I think I've read something else by her, but this was quite good. Woman finds out she's a witch kind of story. The house is magic. It does the housework for you. Wouldn't we all love that? The daughter also is finding out that she's magical. So this is one that I got the audiobook by signing up for a trial run for Audible because I needed to sew. And I didn't want to... I can't watch Flosstubes and sew. It's kind of hard to do because I can't concentrate. So I listened to this while I was working on the baby Elephant Quilt. And I will read the rest of the series too. There's quite a few of them. So that was really fun. Okay. One more quick pause because I can hear the water boiling. All right. The next book was called Murder at the Blarney Bash by Darcy Hannah. And this is, I think, 6 out of 7 in this series, maybe. So the main character, Lindsay, was a Wall Street whiz, but didn't really love that life. So she retired, cashed out, and she bought this lighthouse and had it refurbished so that she lives in a like the keeper house, and then she has a bakery in the bottom of it. She meets delightful people, so that by this part in the series, she's made quite a lot of friends in town. Her best friend is a sassy British lady who is very fashionable and actually works with Lindsay's supermodel mom. Her mom was a supermodel. Lindsay has a boyfriend who, they always somehow get wrapped up in the whatever local mystery happens. So in Murder in the Blarney Bash, there's a new pub in town that is the Blarney Stone. And of course, in their opening, there is a leprechaun running around town who has attacked people. And then the leprechaun is found dead. So Lindsay and her friends are determined to figure out what happened. You don't have to read the other ones to understand this one. I think, though, that I feel like when you have a series like this, you want to start at the beginning to see how the relationships develop along the way. But you could certainly start with this one. And there is a new one that's not on, it's one of those series where it doesn't come on Kindle Unlimited first. You have to wait for it. And then the next one comes out and then it goes on Kindle Unlimited. But there are at least 5 or 6 in the series. But that is the Lighthouse series by Darcy Hannah, if you wanted to look that one up. And then the last one I just finished yesterday is called A Tempest of Tea. And this is by Hassa Fazal, I think is how you would say that. I read something else she wrote once, or I saw something else she wrote. Very cool. So it's vampires, because that's blood in that teacup there. Vampires in a tea store, in a tea shop. So fantasy vampires are like part of regular society, but a lot of them have gone missing lately. Our main character is Arthi and her like adopted brother Jin. And they run a tea house, which is a tea house during the day, but also appeals to vampires at night. And the government wants to shut it down. So she comes up with a pretty elaborate plot to try to keep it open. The second one will be coming out in the fall, and I will be reading it because it looks really good. So, the author of We Hunt the Flame, which is a book that I've wanted to read for a while as well. So that's everything that I have finished. I have also been reading North is the Night. So this is the one I'm going to finish next. And this was another one. I was in Target with my friend Emma. We were getting prizes for a reading night that we were hosting at the school. And we made the mistake of walking down the book aisle. And we saw this. So again, it has the really cool pages. But look at the end papers on this one. So this is based on Norwegian folklore, and it is fascinating. Really, really cool. It's got a lot of like glossaries and stuff in it, so you understand who the Norwegian gods are and traditions and stuff like that. So kind of like a East of the Sun, West of the Moon, which is one of my favorite fairy tales. A little bit like that. Little bit like Persephone and Hades. So really cool. But I saw it at Target, and then I saw it at Sam's Club, and I used my Sam's Cash. I was like, I'm getting it. So really good. I'm about halfway through this, and I want to, I'll hope to be finishing this one up soon. So a lot of different things to read there. Some mystery, some fantasy, some kid stuff, lots of good stuff. That hopefully something looked good. So thank you so much for sticking with me for an hour and 13 minutes of life and stitching and quilting and books. And I hope that something appealed to you in all of that. I will see you in 2 weeks, or actually a little less than 2 weeks, because I will film at the beginning of my spring break with my giant, like, here's everything I'm going to do. I will be quilting. I will do a finishing marathon. I have stitching, like crafty spaces that still need to be cleaned up downstairs, because then I gave myself plantar fasciitis when I tried last time. So lots to be done. And, hopefully I'll get out and do some disc golfing and stuff like that too. But I do plan on doing a video at the beginning with all my plans, and then a video at the end to show you what I actually did get accomplished, especially the finishing. I do have a pretty good stack of stuff now that I would I'd like to get FFO'd. So I always find spring break as a good time to do that, because I can pull out stuff and have it out for a day or so because you know, you look at something and you think about how you're going to do it, and then you change your mind. So so look for that. So into April 12th is when I'm going to shoot for, because we go on break on April 11th. Cannot come soon enough. So I'm going to go do the little bit of editing and put a whole bunch of stuff in the show notes. So I'll list all the books in the show notes and the authors in case you're interested in seeing those. And I'll list, I always list all of the things that I show in pattern wise and who the designer was. And I'm going to go stitch on with my hand. So till I see you again, I hope you have some stitchy fun, or some reading fun, or some quilty fun, and you're enjoying some spring. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.